Good afternoon, everybody. So I just kind of wanted to go over the HSG imaging study that I had done. My OBGYN wanted to try and complete as many labs and imaging as possible before I went and saw a fertility specialist, just to see if there was anything we could do in-house before moving to something more serious, I guess. And I really appreciate that because I want to kind of go the least invasive route as much as possible. And he uses an acronym called COST, standing for cervical or cervix. And what he wants to do with that is actually, once my husband and I have intercourse, we go into his office. He takes a sample of my fluids interacting with his semen to see if there are any issues with that. Like if I'm killing his sperm, that wouldn't be very good. So that is something that we still need to have done. So we're going to get that checked out. And then O stands for ovulation, which he doesn't think I have a problem ovulating. We haven't gone into serious testing with that, but I feel that I have no problem. I can tell when I'm ovulating, and I show all signs of ovulation. So I'm not too sure about that. S was sperm, so my husband's sperm analysis, which we do have the results with. I'm just going to have that video uploaded as soon as my husband looks over it, because it is his business also. And I just want to make sure that he approves of me putting that up before I do. And the last letter is T, and that's for tubes. So that's how we got into the HSG exam. And what that test is how patent your fallopian tubes are. So past infections, genetic disorders, there's a number of issues that could affect those tubes. So he just wanted to have that procedure done just to see if they were open and allowing the actual egg and all to pass through. Yes. So he tells me that I have to coordinate it around ovulation. So I think 14 days after my period, or so 14 days after my period, I had the exam. And he did kind of warn me a little bit about the procedure, that it could be painful. He explained that the tests, they would block off my cervix and allow a dye to come in and kind of see it flow through the tubes. And if it flowed through the tubes well, then that means they were open and perfectly fine. So I get the exam scheduled. I have my husband take off work, which normally is pretty good because he only works, he works full time, but only about 3 days a week. So he can kind of work in the beginning of 1 week and then have the rest of the week off. So we scheduled it for, early in the morning, and went in for the procedure. So they have, you sign the consent, they go over what to expect, and then they put me in another room where I could get undressed. So I get undressed. They wouldn't allow Trey and my husband in due to the radiation. So I went on my own, and they had a TV screen pointing right at me so I could see exactly what's going on. I think she was like a X-ray technician, maybe. She was really great. She was very kind. She tried to help me get as comfortable as possible. She tried to distract me from the pain, which was great. We talked about dogs and cats and animals and life right there while the doctor performed the procedure. And honestly, when I read reviews and whatnot about how bad it was going to be, I thought it would be pretty excruciating. And I'm not trying to undermine anybody's pain here, but it actually was not that bad. I do have pretty painful menstrual cycles, and The first full day of my period is very painful. If it wasn't for my heating pad and ibuprofen 800 milligrams, I don't know what I would do. So, and that may be why I was kind of equating it to that. So maybe that's why it wasn't as painful, but definitely you can feel the pain. So I'm sitting there in the bed, the table, and you're all sprawled out, obviously, which is the most uncomfortable part for me, is just being naked and having someone try and stick a tube into my body, or a, catheter into my uterus. And the worst part is, if you've never had a kid before, your cervix is very, like, closed, and that's the way it should be. And as you have children, it opens a little bit, where it's, probably more easier for things to pass through, not like it would be if you've never been pregnant. So I've never been pregnant, and it was pretty painful. And they, get the tube, and they inject the dye, and that's you start kind of feeling a little bit of cramps, kind of like your uterus contracting a little bit. And I did that, and it was done pretty quickly, and then they give you the results pretty much as soon as it's over. And the radiologist told me that everything looked pretty good. One, it filtered in through one tube very fast, and the other one was a little bit slow, but still filtered out fine, and he didn't think that would be a problem. So overall, that exam went pretty well, and it was painful but not unbearable, and just felt like a period. And then I spotted a little bit, and then it was over with. But yep, that is it on that. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, just write a comment. Like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great night.